When my husband hit me, the music did not stop. That is what I remember first. The song kept playing. Someone was laughing near the window. A spoon tapped against a glass. My head turned to the side, not fast, just enough to lose my balance. I did not fall. I stood there with my hand still holding the plate. Rice, cold by then. No one screamed. No one rushed toward me. Someone said my name. Someone else said nothing. That was my promotion party. I had not wanted a party. I told my husband that more than once. I said a small dinner would be fine, just us. Maybe 1 or 2 friends. He said a promotion should be seen. He said people should know their place. I did not ask what he meant by that. I was tired that week. Work had been heavy, meetings, emails. Late nights? When the promotion letter came, I read it quietly at my desk. I did not celebrate. I closed my laptop and finished my shift. 10 years, that is how long it took. When I told my husband that evening, he nodded. He did not hug me. He said, "Good." Then he said we would invite his family. His family always came in numbers. They arrived early, before the food was ready, before I had changed. His mother walked in first. She looked around the house like she was counting mistakes. She asked what I was cooking. She did not wait for an answer. His sister followed, then cousins, then people I had met once and cooked for twice. The house filled with voices. I moved between rooms, plates, water, smiles. Someone asked about my job. Someone else asked who would take care of the house now. I answered politely, the way I always did. The comments started quietly. A joke about women in power, a laugh about salaries, a question about obedience. I heard them. I did not respond. My husband stood near the center of the room, holding a drink, listening. When someone asked him how he felt about my promotion, he shrugged. "She works," he said, "that's all." The laughter came easily after that. I felt something settle in my chest, not anger, recognition. The moment before he hit me was not dramatic. I had corrected him just once. Someone asked how long I had been in my department. He answered wrong. 10 years, I said softly. He turned toward me, slowly. His face did not show surprise, it showed irritation. He asked why I interrupted him. I said I was answering a question. That was enough. The sound of his hand against my face was clear, not loud, clear. My head moved. My ears rang. The plate slipped from my fingers and broke near my feet. I tasted blood. For a moment I thought someone would say something. They did not. His mother laughed just once. His sister shook her head and smiled. "Only God can save you," she said. It was not said with anger, it was said like a fact. My husband leaned closer to me. "Don't make this worse," he said. I looked at him, then at the room. No one met my eyes. The music continued. I bent down and picked up a piece of the broken plate. My hand did not shake. I set it on the counter. Then I walked to the bedroom. Inside it was quiet. I sat on the edge of the bed. My cheek burned. My jaw felt tight. I looked at myself in the mirror. The mark was already forming. There was a number saved in my phone. I had never called it before. A woman from work gave it to me years earlier. She said, "Just in case." I held the phone for a moment. Outside, someone turned the music up. I pressed call. The voice on the other end was calm. She asked where I was. She asked if I was safe. I told her the truth. "My husband hit me," I said. "There are people here." I did not cry. "I need help," I added. When I ended the call, I sat very still. I knew something had changed. Not in the house, not in the room outside. In me, they did not notice when I left the bedroom. The door opened and closed without sound. The music covered everything. I walked back into the living room slowly. My face felt swollen. My cheek was warm. Someone was serving dessert. Someone else had started a new conversation. My husband stood near the television, laughing. I watched him for a moment. The way his shoulders moved, the way he leaned back, relaxed. Nothing in his body said he had done anything wrong. I went into the kitchen. I rinsed my mouth at the sink. The water ran pink for a second, then clear. I pressed a cloth against my face. It did not help much. His mother followed me in. She stood near the doorway, her arms crossed. "You should not have spoken back," she said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. I nodded, not because I agreed, because I was done explaining. She watched me closely. "You women forget yourselves," she continued. "A job does that." I did not respond. She clicked her tongue and left. The doorbell rang. No one moved at first. Then it rang again. My husband frowned. "Who is that?" he asked. No one answered him. The bell rang a third time, this time firm. 2 officers stood outside, a man and a woman. The music stopped. Someone lowered the volume too slowly. The silence arrived late. The female officer asked for my name. I stepped forward. My husband turned toward me, confused. "What is this?" he asked. The officer looked at him. "We received a call," she said. Her eyes moved to my face. Her expression did not change, but something in her posture did. She asked if she could speak to me privately. I nodded. We went to the bedroom. She closed the door behind us. She asked me what happened. I told her. I did not add details. I did not dramatize. I said he hit me. I said there were witnesses. She asked if this was the first time. I paused. "No," I said. She nodded like she already knew. She asked if I wanted to press charges. I said yes. When we walked back into the living room, the room felt different. Smaller, sharper. My husband stood very straight, too straight. "What are you telling them?" he asked me. I did not answer. The officer told him to step aside. He laughed once. Short. "This is a misunderstanding," he said. His sister spoke up. "She's emotional," she said. "She's tired from work." The officer looked at her. She did not respond further. They asked questions. Quiet ones. Who was here? What they saw? No one said anything at first. Then one cousin said he saw the plate fall. Another said they heard a sound. No one said the word hit. The officer wrote things down anyway. My husband was asked to leave the house for the night. He argued. He said it was his house. His family was here. The officer did not raise her voice. She repeated herself. He looked at me then, really looked. There was anger there, but also disbelief, like he could not understand how far I had gone. When the door closed behind him, the house felt empty. Even with people still inside, his family did not stay long after that. They left quietly, one by one. No one spoke to me on their way out. His mother stopped at the door. "This will not end well for you," she said. I watched her leave. That night I slept alone, not well. Every sound woke me. The house felt unfamiliar. In the morning, the silence stayed. At work, people knew. Someone had seen the officers. Someone had talked. My manager called me into her office. She closed the door. She did not ask what happened. She asked how she could help. I told her I needed time. She said I could take it, no questions. The call started that afternoon. My phone vibrated constantly. Messages from his family, missed calls. I did not answer. Then my husband called. I did not pick up. He sent a message. "You've embarrassed me." I read it once. Then I turned my phone face down. That evening I packed a bag, just essentials, clothes, documents, my laptop. I stayed with a colleague that night. She did not ask for details. She made tea. She gave me a blanket. Days passed, then weeks. The case moved slowly. Paperwork, statements. My husband tried to contact me through others. He said he was sorry. He said he lost control. He said his family had poisoned me. I did not respond. One afternoon, his sister came to my office. Security called me. I met her in the lobby. She looked tired. "You didn't have to go this far," she said. I looked at her. "I didn't," I replied. She shook her head. "You think this makes you strong?" I said nothing. She left. At night I thought about the party, about the music, about the laughter. I did not miss him. I missed the version of myself that believed things could stay contained. That belief was gone. The court date was set. I marked it on my calendar. I did not tell anyone. I did not prepare speeches. I prepared myself. On the morning of the hearing, I wore the same blue dress. It fit differently now, not physically, emotionally. I looked at myself in the mirror. The bruise was gone. The memory was not. I picked up my bag and I left. The courthouse smelled like disinfectant and old paper. I arrived early, too early. I sat on a bench and watched people walk past me, lawyers with files, families speaking in low voices. A man pacing with his phone pressed to his ear. No one looked at me twice. I liked that. My lawyer arrived 10 minutes later. She was younger than I expected. Calm, direct. She did not ask me how I was feeling. She asked if I was ready. I said yes. She nodded. When my husband walked in, I recognized the sound of his shoes before I saw him. He walked the same way he always had, quick, certain. He was with his brother. They did not sit near me. I felt his eyes on my back anyway. Inside the courtroom, everything moved slowly. Names were called, people stood, people sat. When my case was announced, I stood without thinking. My legs did not shake. The judge asked questions, simple ones. I answered them. My voice sounded steady to my own ears. That surprised me. My lawyer asked me to describe what happened at the party. I did. I said it plainly. I said he hit me. I said people laughed. I said no one intervened. The room was quiet when I finished. Then his lawyer spoke. She asked me if I had been drinking that night. I said no. She asked if I had argued with my husband earlier. I said yes. She asked if I had ever raised my voice at him. I paused. Yes, I said. She nodded like that meant something. My husband took the stand. He did not look at me. He said he never hit me. He said I slipped. He said the plate fell. He said I had changed since the promotion. He said I was angry all the time. He said his family was shocked by my behavior. The word shocked stayed in the air longer than it should have. When it was over, the judge set another date. There would be more hearings. I nodded. I had expected that. Outside, my husband tried to speak to me. The officers stepped between us. You're doing this to hurt me, he said. I looked at him. No, I said. I'm doing this to stop you. He stared at me like I was speaking another language. The weeks after that were quiet, too quiet. My phone stopped ringing. His family stopped sending messages. It felt like a pause, not peace. I moved into a small apartment near my office. 1 bedroom, white walls. The first night there, I slept on the floor. The mattress had not arrived yet. I did not mind. The silence felt earned. I started therapy once a week. The therapist asked me when it started. I told her I wasn't sure. She said that was common. She asked me why I stayed. I said I didn't know how to leave. She wrote that down. At work, I kept my head down. I did my job. I attended meetings. People treated me carefully, like something fragile had been placed on their desk. I did not correct them. One afternoon, my husband showed up outside my apartment. I saw him through the window. I did not open the door. He waited. Then he knocked, softly at first, then louder. I called the police. When they arrived, he was still there. He looked tired, angry. He left without speaking to me. After that, I filed for a restraining order. The paperwork was thick. The language was heavy, but when it was approved, I felt lighter. The next court date came faster than I expected. This time, his sister testified. She said I provoked him. She said I embarrassed him in front of guests. She said discipline was misunderstood these days. The judge listened, wrote notes, said nothing. Then a cousin spoke, one I barely remembered. He said he saw my husband raise his hand. He said he heard the sound. He said he regretted laughing. That last part surprised me. When the judge spoke, her voice was even. She granted the order. She said there was sufficient evidence. She said my husband was to stay away from me. She said consequences would follow if he did not. I nodded. I did not look at him. Outside, my lawyer shook my hand. She said I had done well. I thanked her. Then I walked away. That evening, I sat alone in my apartment. I ate rice from a container, cold. I did not turn on the television. I sat with my thoughts. They were quieter now. I thought about the promotion, about how proud I had been, about how quickly that pride had been punished. I thought about how often women are told to shrink, to soften, to wait. I did not think about forgiveness. Not yet. The next morning I woke up early. I made coffee. I stood by the window. The city moved below me, ordinary, unaware. I felt something new then. Not happiness, stability. I dressed for work, put on my shoes, picked up my bag, and for the first time in a long while I left my home without checking over my shoulder. The divorce papers arrived on a Tuesday, plain envelope, no note. I sat at the small kitchen table and opened them slowly. Page after page, dates, signatures. My name looked unfamiliar printed that way, too formal, too distant. I read everything twice, not because I didn't understand, because I wanted to be sure. He was asking for the house. The same house my salary had paid for, the same walls where the party happened. He was also asking for compensation for emotional distress. That part made me stop. I closed the file. I made tea, let it cool. Then I opened it again. My lawyer was not surprised. She said it was common. She said power does not like to be challenged. She asked if I wanted to respond immediately. I said yes. Around that time, my mother came to stay with me. She arrived quietly, one suitcase. She did not ask questions right away. She watched me cook. She watched how I moved around the apartment. On the third night, she asked, "Does your face still hurt?" I shook my head. She nodded. That was all. She came with me to the next hearing. She sat behind me. Her presence was steady. When my husband saw her, he looked away. This hearing was about property, money, control. He said the house belonged to him. He said I was ungrateful. He said my job had changed me. My lawyer showed records, transfers, payments. The judge listened, again. During a break, his mother approached us. She did not greet my mother. She spoke to me. "You think you've won something," she said. I looked at her. "I've lost a marriage," I replied. "That's not winning." She stared at me for a long moment, then she turned away. At work, things shifted, not in obvious ways. People stopped asking about my husband. They started asking about projects. I was invited into rooms I hadn't been before. My promotion began to feel real. One evening after a long day, I stayed late at the office. The building was quiet. I finished a report without interruption. When I shut down my computer, I realized I felt calm, not relieved. Calm. The house decision came in writing. The judge ruled it be sold. Assets divided. My husband reacted badly. He sent messages through a friend, accusing. Angry, I blocked the number. The sale process was slow. I went once to collect the last of my things. The house smelled different. Stale. I walked through each room. Nothing called to me. In the living room, I stood where I had been hit. The carpet had been cleaned. No mark remained. I stood there for a moment longer than necessary. Then I left. Therapy continued. We talked about guilt, about why I still felt it. The therapist asked whose voice it sounded like. I didn't have to think. I said his mother's. The final hearing arrived quietly. No family, no audience, just signatures. The marriage ended on paper. I felt nothing dramatic, just a small loosening in my chest. Afterward, my mother and I went to eat, a small place near the courthouse. She ordered for both of us. We ate in silence. Halfway through, she reached for my hand. "You did right," she said. I nodded. I believed her. When she left a week later, the apartment felt larger, but not empty. That month, I received an award at work, quiet ceremony, small room. My name was read aloud. I stood. Applause followed. I accepted the plaque. It was heavier than I expected. That night, I hung it on the wall. I did not take a picture. I stood back and looked at it. Then I turned off the light. Sometimes I still think about that sentence. Only God can save you. I think about how wrong it was, and how close it came to being true. After the divorce was finalized, people expected me to change. They asked if I felt free, if I felt lighter. If I felt proud, I did not have words for them. What I felt was space. Space in the mornings, space in my thoughts, space in my body. It took time to learn how to use it. The first thing I did was stop explaining myself at work. At home, everywhere, when someone asked why I stayed late, I said I had work. When someone asked why I lived alone, I said I preferred it, no more reasons. My husband tried once more. A letter arrived at my office, handwritten. I recognized his writing immediately, tight, angled. He said he missed me. He said he had changed. He said God was teaching him patience. I folded the letter. I did not reply. I gave it to my lawyer. She added it to the file. That was all. The restraining order expired months later. I did not renew it, not because I trusted him, because I trusted myself. I had moved, changed routines. He no longer knew my life. My work expanded, more responsibility, more visibility. I began mentoring younger women, not formally, just conversations, coffee breaks. I did not tell my story unless asked. When I did, I kept it short. One evening, one of them stayed back. She asked how I knew when it was time to leave. I told her I knew when staying required silence. She nodded. She did not ask more. My father called one night. We had not spoken much since the separation. He asked if I was eating properly. I said yes. He said he was proud of me. It was the first time he had said that out loud. I closed my eyes when I heard it. The city began to feel familiar again. I found a cafe near my apartment. I became a regular. The barista learned my order. Small things, they mattered. One afternoon, I ran into my former sister-in-law at a market. She looked surprised, then uncomfortable. She asked how I was. I said I was well. She nodded. She did not ask anything else. We parted. I did not look back. There were still nights I woke suddenly, heart fast, mind blank. I learned how to breathe through them. I learned how to sit with myself. Therapy slowed. Once every 2 weeks, then once a month, we talked about trust, about whether I wanted it again. I said I did not know. She said I did not have to decide. The anniversary of the promotion came. I took the day off, not to celebrate, to remember. I walked through the city. I sat in a park. I watched people. I thought about the woman I had been that night, holding a plate, smiling. I did not judge her. That evening I cooked for myself. Simple food. I ate slowly. I slept well. I no longer checked my phone for missed calls. I no longer flinched at loud voices. These changes happened quietly. I noticed them later. One Sunday I cleaned the apartment, moved furniture, let in light. I found the blue dress in the back of the closet. I held it. Then I folded it carefully. I did not throw it away. I was not ready. Sometimes people still ask how I survived. I tell them I didn't survive. I continued. There is a difference. The call came on an ordinary afternoon. I was at my desk, emails open. Coffee going cold beside me, the number was unfamiliar, I almost let it ring, then I answered. It was my husband's brother. He spoke carefully, like he was stepping around something fragile. He said my husband had been arrested. Another incident, another woman. I closed my eyes. Not from shock, from recognition. He asked if I would speak to the police. I asked why. He said my statement might help establish a pattern. I told him I would think about it. That night I slept badly, not because of fear, because of memory. The sound of laughter, the smell of food, the way the room had closed in on me. In the morning, I called the officer assigned to the case. She was polite. She had read my file. She asked if I was willing to testify. I said yes. Giving the statement felt different this time. I was not asking for help. I was offering clarity. I described the party, the strike, the witnesses. I described the aftermath. The officer listened. She thanked me. News traveled fast. His family called again. This time their voices were different, quieter. They asked if I could withdraw my cooperation. They said it would ruin him. I said nothing. Then I said no. My mother called that evening. She had heard, through relatives. She asked if I was okay. I said yes, I was. At work, I took the afternoon off. I went home. I sat on the floor. I did not cry. I let the weight settle. The court process moved quickly. There was less denial this time, more evidence, more witnesses. I was not required to see him. I did anyway, from across the room. He looked smaller, not physically, in presence. When I spoke, I did not look at him. I spoke to the judge. I said what happened. I said it mattered. The ruling came weeks later. He was sentenced, not harshly, but clearly. Mandatory counseling, probation, public record. After that, his family stopped calling completely. The silence felt final. I thought about that sentence again. Only God can save you. I understood it differently now. Sometimes saving looks like documentation. Sometimes it looks like testimony. Sometimes it looks like a woman speaking plainly. I did not feel victorious. I felt finished. That month I traveled alone, a short trip, a hotel room with a view. I stood at the window at night, city lights below. I breathed. On the last day I wrote a letter, not to him, to myself. I thanked myself for the call I made, for not hanging up, for staying on the line. When I returned home, life resumed, work, sleep, meals, but something fundamental had shifted. I was no longer waiting for permission. The year after the sentencing passed quietly. No headlines, no announcements, just time. I stopped thinking of my life as divided into before and after. It became a line again, continuous. Some days were heavy, most were not. I changed my routine, morning walks, earlier dinners. I learned which streets felt safe at night. I learned my own pace. At work, I was asked to lead a new team. I hesitated. Then I said yes, not because I wanted more responsibility, because I trusted myself with it. The women on my team were different ages, different stories. They worked hard. They asked questions. Sometimes they asked about me. I answered when it felt useful. One of them told me she was leaving an abusive relationship. She said my calm made her believe it was possible. I listened. I did not give advice. I told her she was not imagining things. That was enough. I ran into my ex-husband once, by accident at a traffic signal. Our cars stopped beside each other. He looked straight ahead. I looked too. The light changed. We drove on. That night I realized I was no longer afraid of seeing him, not because he had changed, because I had. I donated the blue dress. I folded it carefully. I placed it in a bag. I did not feel sadness, just completion. My apartment began to feel small, not confining, finished. I started looking for another place, somewhere brighter. I found one with large windows. Second floor, sun in the morning. I moved without ceremony. The first night there I cooked, music low. I ate by the window. I watched the street below, ordinary life moving. Sometimes I thought about the people at the party, what they told themselves afterward, whether any of them remembered my face. It did not matter. I was invited to speak at a small workplace seminar about leadership, about resilience. I agreed. I did not mention violence. I mentioned boundaries. Silence fell differently in that room. Afterward, a man approached me. He said he had never considered how laughter could be harm. I nodded. I did not explain further. I called my father more often. We spoke about small things, weather, food. Once he apologized. He said he should have protected me better. I told him he was here now. That was enough. On my birthday, I spent the day alone. By choice, I walked. I ate cake. I slept. It felt right. I understood then that healing was not a moment. It was permission to live without proving anything. I do not think about saving anymore, not the way I used to. There was a time when that sentence followed me, only God can save you. It lived in the corners of rooms, in pauses between conversations, in the way I checked locks twice. For a long time I thought saving meant escape, or rescue, or someone arriving in time. Now I know it meant something else. The call I made that night did not fix my life. It did not make me brave overnight. It did not turn pain into wisdom. It simply stopped the moment from repeating. That was enough. People like endings that are clean. They want a clear lesson. A line you can underline. Life did not give me that. What it gave me was days, ordinary ones. I wake up now without scanning the room. I drink my coffee slowly. I read emails. I forget things. Sometimes I laugh without thinking about who is listening. There are still memories that arrive unannounced. The sound of music through walls, the smell of food on warm plates. When they come, I let them pass. I do not argue with them. I used to think dignity was something you lost suddenly. Like it could be taken in one moment. I was wrong. It is something you give away slowly, in silence, in patience that costs too much. Taking it back was not loud. It did not involve speeches. It involved one phone call, one word, yes. I have forgiven some things, not all. Forgiveness, I learned, is not a requirement for peace. Distance is. When people ask me now what I would do differently, I tell them the truth. I would have believed myself sooner. I do not speak to his family. I do not wish them harm. I do not wish them well. I let them exist without me. Sometimes, late at night, I think about the woman at the party, standing with a plate in her hands, trying to keep a room calm. I do not feel embarrassed by her. I feel protective. She did what she knew how to do, so did I. Strength did not arrive as confidence. It arrived as refusal. Refusal to explain. Refusal to soften facts. Refusal to carry shame that was not mine. I have learned that laughter can be a weapon, and silence can be an accomplice. I have also learned that a steady voice can change the direction of a life. If you are listening to this and wondering when to act, I cannot answer that for you. There is no perfect moment. There is only the one where you stop minimizing what hurts. I did not need God to save me. I needed witnesses, records, and my own voice. If you had been in my place, would you have made the call? I would like to know. Tell me in the comments. And if this story stayed with you, stay with us. Subscribe, support.